All right, Mr. Berry and Miss Weldon, you're here for the same thing today. So I'm going to go ahead and talk to you both now because you're early, but if everybody's here early, we can get done early. All right, these are two different files, 230332SC, that's yours, Mr. Berry, and 230335SC, that's yours, Miss Weldon. But they both have the same plaintiff, Allegan Credit Union. We are here in small claims court, which that means is there are no attorneys here. We're trying to get this done without attorneys or without having any kind of jury trial in front of the district court judges. You also cannot ask for more than $6,500, but we seem to be below that threshold. So before I get started with these individual cases, sometimes on these, it's easier to just go ahead and start with defendants. So I'm going to ask you one at a time. Do you believe that you do owe money to Allegan Credit Union and it's more about how and when you'd be able to pay that back? Or are you contesting that you owe Allegan Credit Union any money? Mr. Berry?
Yes, I do owe them, and I think about 90 days to pay it off.
And Miss Weldon?
No, I'm disputing mine.
All right, then I'm gonna pop you back over in the waiting room, Miss Weldon. We'll bring you right back over.
I'm sorry.
For what?
Were you gonna stick me back in the room?
Oh, yeah. It'll just be a minute or two. I'll finish up with
Okay.
Mr. Berry. All right, Mr. Berry. So instead of us having to have a contested hearing where we take testimony, essentially, if you're agreeing that you owe money, then we can do this as what's called a consent judgment, meaning the parties agreed rather than had to come to court to fight it out. I have a balance here, an unpaid balance, $488.25. Does that sound right to you?
Yes.
All right. Then the only other thing we'd even need to talk about is Allegan Credit Union. They paid certain monies out of pocket to get us here today. They had to pay a filing fee to the court. They had to pay to have you served. They spent $77.62 to come to small claims. They are able to ask for that as well as the damages. So I just wanted you to understand where that extra money comes from when you get the final number here, which is going to read more like $565.87. All right.
Okay.
That makes sense to you? All right.
Yes.
So essentially what's going to happen is I'll draw this up as a consent judgment and mail it out to parties, but you do not have to wait for that to come in the mail. Essentially, as soon as we're done today, you could be in contact with each other and work out sort of the payment schedule, the how and when this actually gets paid. But other than that, we're all set for what we needed to do here today. All right.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I'm going to release you then. Thank you. All right, so before we get started, I'm going to have all parties swear in. If you could go ahead and raise your right hands. Swear or affirm any testimony you give here today would be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Going to start with the plaintiff here. This is a return check issue here for $4,288.49. You want to explain it to me?
Your Honor, so she deposited a check. It looks like the check was made payable, from what I can see here, from AutoZone. The dollar amount of the check was $4,785.79. The check was returned as, like you had said, as forgery. I do have a signature on the back that seems to match the signature that we have here on file.
My signature.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Anybody else on this account?
There is not, Your Honor.
All right, so how did we get to the number $4,288.49?
Take a look here. It looks like that there were some funds that were in the account that were used to go towards the negative balance.
Okay. So this check was paid.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
In other words, this check was cashed.
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Miss Weldon, you'll have your turn.
Oh,
So
I
in other
didn't know.
words, so a check from AutoZone to a Shelby Weldon was cashed and deposited in this account.
That is correct.
And then when you tried to retrieve funds, it's not good.
Correct. The check was returned forgery. Correct.
And then when you tried to retrieve funds from the account, there was only, let's call it $500 left.
Correct.
All right. And Miss Weldon, what is it that you wish to tell me?
Well, Your Honor, first of all, honestly, the funds were available in the AutoZone's account. I took the check in. Apparently, first, what happened? I called Allegan Credit Union and asked them, and they said
And
yes.
you
they
do
could-
understand, ma'am, that this is recorded. So everything that you're saying that eventually could be used in a court against you
Yes, sir. I
for a
understand.
fraud or forgery complaint.
Yes, sir. I understand that. But first of all, I didn't forge anyone's name. I only signed mine.
Ma'am, let me put it to you another way. This check was deposited in your account and then the money went somewhere.
Yeah, I got some of it. They cashed. Okay, they first told me that I could do mobile deposit. I tried that. Put Allegan Credit
Who's
Union.
they?
Allegan Credit Union.
No,
And they
here's what I'm telling you, ma'am. Just you can stop explaining. Because AutoZone didn't honor the check, Allegan Credit Union needs to get back from you $4,785.79. They credited your account that money, but that money's not in the account. Where did it go?
Right. I put 1,000 into my accounts, 500 in checking, 5 in savings, and then they gave me the rest back in cash.
Okay, you owe that money to Allegan Credit Union.
Okay, I understand. Why is it that I owe it to them and not well, I guess them or AutoZone, but yes, I understand I owe them, but why is the check no good? They cashed it. I took it in to the branch in Gobles, and the lady that helped me, her name was Shelby, and she cashed it. She put it in the machine. It went
Where did you get the check, ma'am?
from it came through the mail from AutoZone. No check stub, no letter of explanation.
Why does AutoZone owe you $4,700?
I had an accident. I don't know if that's what it was for. Now I am wondering, Your Honor, because that was the only thing I could think of. I didn't work
Ma'am,
for AutoZone.
AutoZone is a store
I
that
know it,
sells
yes,
auto parts.
Yeah, I had an accident
Do you
about
work for them?
no, I had an accident about 6-8 years ago, something like that. And it was from a
Did you wreck
recall.
into an AutoZone store?
Yes, I bought the part that was in a recall on my vehicle at that time and bought it, but I had to take it back because that part was the defective. That's the reason for the recall that was on the vehicles at that time. That's where I thought that money came in from. That check was from that lawsuit from, the defective manufacturer, whoever it came from, but it came from AutoZone. Is where I had bought my part. And when I took it back, they gave me my money back and told me that, the dealership could fix that for me, free of charge. Well, I needed it fixed
So,
immediately.
did you join a lawsuit where you were named as plaintiff against AutoZone?
I was in a lawsuit. Now I've never heard anything more until I got that check. That was the only explanation I had. Otherwise, I know AutoZone. I didn't work for them. They didn't owe me anything else, and that was my only explanation. But I certainly wasn't trying
Ma'am,
to do
you need to
anything
be very
illegal.
careful. Everything you're saying makes no sense whatsoever, and you're spelling out a crime.
Oh, okay, maybe I should shut up, but I'm not hiding anything, Your Honor. I'm just trying to be honest. That's the only thing. I didn't create this check. I mean, I got a copy here. I put 1,000 in my account, 500 checking, 500.
And where did the
savings.
rest of the money go?
They gave it back to me, the cash, the remaining balance you
Yes.
gave to me.
And
I-
what did
as
you do with that money?
I
Who
paid
did you
bills.
pay that money to?
I paid bills. I did shopping, grocery shopping. I got my vehicle fixed. I didn't have no heat. Yeah, I honestly really did not think that was a fraudulent check, and the bank cashed it. They put it in their machine, and it ran through as valid.
Well,
Good.
ma'am, that doesn't matter. They would always cash a fraudulent check. It's when they turn that check back to the writer of the check for payment that the other party says, this isn't our check. We didn't write that. That's how check fraud works. It's just that normally, once you cash that check, you would keep about 1,000 for you, but then you would pay the rest of the money to whoever set you up with this fraudulent check in the first place.
No, I mean, I've got tons of receipts to show where I have spent it. And I've honestly, I owe the credit union more than what they are trying to just
Ma'am,
regain.
I want to know the case number of the civil suit where you were a plaintiff involved in suing AutoZone.
I'd have to go back and do some digging because that's been years ago. That was when I was with my previous marriage.
All right. And so did you talk to your attorney?
No, I had one way back then, but I never heard anything more. I went through a lot of health issues myself as far as in my memory, and chemo.
That's probably what I would say if I committed check fraud too.
No, sir, I didn't. I'm not just saying that. I can prove that, and I did not commit check fraud.
Okay, but here's the time where you're trying to prove to me that it's not check fraud, and you're telling me that something happened 8 years ago, it's a lawsuit, but you don't know any details of it.
I don't. Well,
When did you think we would talk about your legitimate lawsuit for getting paid $4,700 from AutoZone? When did you
Well,
think that was going to come up?
No, right now, I thought all of this would come up. That's what I'm saying, Your Honor. I understand if if that was not for the lawsuit, then yes, I do owe that. I would even think that I would owe it to AutoZone, but I haven't heard anything from them.
Why would you owe money to AutoZone, ma'am?
Well, because they're the ones I thought was in the beginning. I thought that was who was pressing the charges. But then I seen after I read it and calmed down, it's just been rough days. Anyway, yeah, I would not, Your Honor, I would not ever do anything like
All right,
I've not
Ms.
done
Weldon,
this.
just hold on a second. I'm going to run your name for a second.
For a minute.
So, Ms. Weldon, when this check came in the mail, it came with no other documentation, no letter explaining what it was?
No check stub, no nothing. Nothing at
You
all.
understand how much not sense that makes?
Yeah, that's probably why I called and did checking myself in on this check where it was drawn.
Okay.
I
What were
called.
the results of your investigation?
The manager was supposed to get back with me. The assistant manager had took the message that I needed to talk to them about some funds that was released to me. And I let them know exactly the date. Now, see, the date on this check was December 15th. I put it in the bank January 31st.
Okay.
I
Ms.
even-
Stevens, do you have any more information of what Auto said when AutoZone would not honor the check, any other information they gave?
Mrs. Who are you talking to?
The other party, man.
I'm looking here, it just came back as a forgery. I could ask our accounting department, but that's what it came back as on the return.
All right, here's the thing. This is a pretty simple matter because Miss Weldon, you agree that if you really weren't supposed to get that check or it was a bad check, then the bank shouldn't have cashed it and give you all that money, right? You'd owe that money back to the bank. You agree with it?
Well, yeah, I owe it back to the bank.
I'll tell you what I'm gonna do, because I'm gonna give you a fair chance here. I'm not even gonna make a final decision right now. Allegan Credit Union, do you know when you're back?
For another
Do you have
hearing, Your
cases next
Honor?
week? Yeah,
Let me take a look. It looks like that our next hearing with you is on the 29th.
okay. So here's what we're gonna do, Miss Weldon, I'm gonna give you a chance, I'm gonna give Allegan Credit Union a chance. Instead of making a final decision here, because I was surprised to hear you say that there was in fact a lawsuit a number of years ago, so there is a chance that you're just getting this late payout. I just can't imagine why they wouldn't tell you that with an accompanying letter
Right.
and or why they would deny the check as well. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna come back on March 29th, all right? But that's 10:30 a.m., right?
March
That is
29th.
correct. Yes.
All right, March 29th at 10:30 a.m. You zoom in just the same exact way you did here, okay?
Okay.
What I'm gonna ask from each party is this, that Courtney Stevens from Allegan Credit Union would follow up more of what the details were of why AutoZone didn't want to honor this check. And Miss Weldon, I'm going to give you an opportunity to come up with some sort of evidence or more information about how you are not the bad actor here. This is a mistake that they didn't honor the check, but they were supposed to be paying you out for something. And we'll come back here in 8 days and we'll sort of get to the bottom of it, and I won't make a decision until then. All right?
Okay. In the meantime, Your Honor, am I allowed to have communication with Allegan Credit Union?
Certainly.
Okay.
All
And
right. What would make a lot more sense on your end is if you can dig up anything about that lawsuit or contact somebody about that. And then Ms. Stevens is going to look at it from the AutoZone end of why they didn't want to honor the check. We'll get some more information and we'll decide what to do at the end of the day. All right? I think that's fair.
Okay. Can I ask one more question?
Uh-huh.
Is Mrs. Stevens, is she from AutoZone or Allegan Credit Union?
Allegan Credit Union, man.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure. Is it okay?
See,
that I
the
contact her?
thing here is, once AutoZone says that's not our check, they don't have to pay it. The bank has to go after you because you're the one that went away with the money. So either you have to give the money back or they eat it. And if they don't want to eat it, then they sue you in court like they are. And if for some reason AutoZone should have honored that check, then you shouldn't have to pay it back. AutoZone should have to pay the bank. We're not quite there at the answer for that, but right now, if I had to make a decision right now today, I'd make you pay them back the rest of this money because you used the money, but the payer of the check is saying that that's not our check, we shouldn't honor it. So either you need to show me why they should have, or the bank will get more information about why they didn't, all right? And we will come back here on the 29th at 10:30 a.m., okay?
Could I let Mrs. Stevens know something also?
Sure.
Actually, I owe the full if I was not entitled to that check. Instead of them claiming that they only want the 4,288.49, it should be for the whole amount of the check because the 500 that was in the savings, I put 500. Remember I said I put 500 in my checking and 500 in my savings. I had spent what was in checking on my debit card, but what was in savings, Allegan Credit Union withdrew and credited me for that amount off of the 4,785.79. So really, they took, I guess you would say, if I wasn't entitled to it, their own money and paid them back 500.
Well,
And the
that's
21
part of what I'm sure Allegan Credit Union will also look into between now and the 29th, okay?
Okay, yeah, I wanted them to realize that, and I didn't know if they did, because that seemed kind of odd too.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and let you
You're-
go and move on to the next matter, all right?
Hey,
Ms.
thank
Wells.
you.
All right, I am out of defendants, so we will call these 230335 SC Allegan Credit Union versus 1 Shelby Weldon. Proof of service, this was personally served. I have the damages amount on this at $4,288.49 with
That is
cost
correct.
at $154.80.
Yes.
And lastly, 230377 SC Allegan Credit Union versus Jesse Serene.